Hey, what's up, everyone? You're currently tuned into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 in Santa Barbara and netnetradio.com, Tijuana. Today, Lietoc and I are joined by Brooklyn-based banjo, guitar, computers, synthesizer, and voice quintuplet threat Wendy Eisenberg. They have a number of solo albums and compositions for guitar available on Bandcamp, play in the rock trio Editrix, and just wrapped up a West Coast tour as part of Bill Orcutt's guitar quartet. How's it going, Wendy?
It's great. I also have trouble saying the name of that.
Oh, what? Which part?
Bill Orcutt Guitar Quartet.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's kind of a tongue twister. How was that, by the way? How was playing with Bill?
It's great. He's amazing. Like every time I get to play in that band, I learn something about guitar or about one of the members of the band. And it just, I didn't expect it to feel as much like a band right off the bat as it. So it also, when we get to see each other again, it's like family energy.
That's sick.
When
How
was
long?
the first time? Yeah. How long have you been doing it?
Well, I heard about doing it, I guess, almost a year ago. And then we got the music like maybe 4 months before we started like actually playing in earnest together. And that started in late March.
That's sick.
And so, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I get to be right next to him, like between him and Ava, and I get to look at Shane. Like, it's insane. Like, just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
How was the audience for the LA show? Because I saw a few tweets that seemed people were going to be riled up.
What do you mean?
Like in a good way. It was
Like,
Sam Goldner's tweets. He seemed real excited.
Oh, people have been really, really responsive to it, which is an honor because it's like, how often do you get to see like a totally sold out, like kind of big cap room for arty music? Like,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Everybody's there and they're so excited and we're excited. I'm like always nervous. So I have to tell myself it's not important. And then I play and it feels really important because I'm like there with everybody.
Yeah.
And so the LA audience was, well, I mean, a lot of my friends were there. So it felt like I have to impress my friends.
Yeah.
But aside from that, the vibe in the room was like, yeah, we're all here. Holy shit. You know?
Yeah, dude, Bill's sick. I thought it was crazy, like how, I don't know, the quartet, I guess, was like having like sold out shows and how you guys did like the Tiny Desk show. Like I remember I saw Bill like a few years ago and there was like 10 people in the crowd. So I did not realize that like, I don't know what tier, I guess, artist he is, I guess. I don't know. He's always been like one of my favorites, but.
Yeah, me too. You can't really tell. I mean, especially like recently as things are more virtual, like you can't, no one knows who anyone knows anymore. And maybe they could never know who anyone knew, whoever they are. Yeah. That was crazy. But yeah, like to me, he's always been like a gigantic deal. And so, but then again, it's like a lot of the gigantic deal people in my life. Like if I tell my mom like, wow, I can't believe I get to play with this guy. She's like, it's nice.
Yeah, like who is that?
And so like maybe it's sort of like that where like a certain kind of like hermetic society really knows who Bill is and like loves him. But now it's everybody. And I mean, I think that there was a sense that this record is going to be a big deal. Like sometimes you make a record and you know it's going to do something. And this one just feels really important. And like, I guess, I mean, it's clear that he's throwing everything behind it. And also just like people respecting like Shane and Ava's work probably doesn't hurt, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That was the wildest thing. I hadn't realized Ava was on it. And then I did, and I'm like, oh, Ava had the Astral Spirits releases, and a lot of those are really good.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So it's great to see all four of you play on it. And I don't know, maybe people just want that particular sound for, it's only like a 30-minute album. For the live show, do you guys do a bunch of improv in the back half or something else?
Yeah, we play a lot of it down totally tight. But then there's a few songs that are really good for soloing on. And we decided that in our only rehearsal, because we rehearsed once. And
oh, really?
Yeah. Which is also like an incredible amount of faith.
Yeah, that's crazy, actually. That's sick.
It was flattering that I think we did it, but it was a little scary, but
yeah.
So we do some soloing and a few of us I play solo and Bill plays solo and Ava and Shane do duos, and it's just really. By the way, playing solo after Bill plays solo was horrifying.
Oh,
is that what you're doing on these bills, or is that just like the LA bill? Or
Yeah, so we have I feel like I don't know if I should totally reveal the set list, but there's a point in the set where it gets more spacious because it's just it's a lot of 4 guitars. It's really, we all play pretty loud, and so that's a lot for your ears. So then Bill plays solo, and then we do another song kind of just down, and then I play solo after that. So people, can forget how good Bill is because and then they can listen to me try to imitate Bill. That's not what happens, but psychically maybe a little bit.
Yeah. That's sick though. Yeah.
It's so cool. It's like sometimes because I don't know, sometimes just because I'm like a bit younger than the rest of the band, I feel like the kid sibling that's just like, ah.
Oh really?
Like Tommy and the Replacements or something.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
What was your favorite place you guys played on tour? Do you guys like do any I don't know, visit any cool spots, or is it just like gig to gig type deal?
Kind of both. I mean, before Durham, before and after Durham, we had Baltimore. We had a barbecue for every meal. So it was like, we had it like lunch and dinner and then lunch again.
Hell yeah, that's sick.
That wasn't
heavy brunches.
Yeah, it wasn't really like a destination exactly, but it was a different place than I've ever been. I wouldn't even say necessarily that I liked the feeling of that, but I do like barbecue a lot. And we were like, in the Carolina town zone, so we had to. But I think the last show we played was San Francisco, and I'd never been there before. And I think I got into music because I think it's the holiest thing you can do, or the thing that's easiest for me to do, or vice versa or something. But I also got into it to travel, and
that's sick. Yeah.
I'm not really gonna, I mean, I can say that now because I think before I was just like, I can't believe I get to tour. And now I'm like, I get to go to San Francisco, which is probably people are not that excited about it, but I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's cool. Hell yeah.
We talked to artists that are on different regional spectrums. Like we've talked to Jen and Matt, the Power Rollins do, and they still have yet to make it out to the West Coast, and they've purposely really kept it regional. The artists that are on Candlepin out there in Boston, a ton of them are just regional acts that don't get out, and your work was almost all East Coast from.
Well, yeah, because it's I have a car, so I could just drive anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the fact that, I mean, every time I go to LA, I like it more, which is also fun. But San Francisco is my favorite weather in any city because it's cold and it's sunny, and it's perfect. And I don't know, I just
why don't experimental artists come to San Diego? What's up with this, guys?
Well, I was really bummed that our West Coast thing was only 2 days. Why didn't we go to why didn't we go to Vancouver?
True. Vancouver would be sick too.
Yeah, why didn't we go to Bend?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's up in Bend. Why didn't we visit the grouper part of Oregon?
Yeah. Yeah. That's sick though.
I guess we'll keep a little bit on the live stuff here, because I did catch your stuff at Big Ears. I got to see the whole triple bill, the whole Wendy Eisenberg triple experience. Solo in the back. The songs were great. We'll talk about that later. The quartet. So much fun. You guys rocked it. And then I didn't know about, until even looking today, your long relationship recording with Zorn, and that you got to participate in Cobra. And I watched that way in the back in the rafters, and not aware of what Cobra was, but also because the rules of the game don't circulate, and I never seen it performed, not quite getting tuned over the course of the piece. And I'm curious, from your perspective as a performer in Cobra, what was that like?
Playing Cobra?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, my true impulse is to ask you what it sounds like without knowing the rules, before I say anything, because I've only attended a Cobra twice.
I don't know what a Cobra is, honestly.
Cobra is a game piece that Zorn made in 1984.
Okay.
Which is now. Yeah.
How am I going to have to put this into words? Because there's two places that it comes from for me that I could really take with Zorn's work. So I know Naked City, and I know the follow-up album that he did on Shimmy Disc. I know that stuff. I was excited for the festival because of the Painkiller, and I didn't see the Painkiller stuff or the kind of offshoot, but you get some of that sense, even though the piece Cobra never really approaches Naked City, but the where it can go in terms of the improv is there. But it also reminds me of a lot of kind of, I grew up watching Space Ghost Coast to Coast, the kind of cartoony Sony Chirocness of that, or the Hanna-Barbera giant fight. There's a giant kind of cartoon fight aspect to the piece. And you never know where it goes.
Cartoon fight.
So that's my take.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. That's right. Whatever, of course. Whatever that means in this world. But I just feel like it's a game. I've played a lot of Cobras, so like playing that one was kind of like, oh, I get to do this game that I like. Like when you play Cobra, it does something to your brain because it's a game piece. So like when you're just improvising, it can become really soupy, or people are like especially in that group, there's just so many drummers and so many men, and like
it's
been insane. Like if you just were like, okay, go. So what's cool about Cobra is it lays down really strict parameters about like what can happen, and then people in the band can just be like, and then that will happen, which I don't want to tell you. I don't want to get
and that's part of it, is that you kind of need to see this piece to believe it. But as a result of the improv limits, or not really limits, but the rules, you can end up in certain tracks that really de-emphasize any drums or any guitar, really, and it's like xylophone and bass, and these are beautiful little pieces that just show up for a few minutes as a result.
Yeah. I mean, like, I really liked when there was a very clicky clacky thing, and then all of a sudden Simon was just like making it like a bossa nova. I thought that was cool.
Yes, the bossa nova aspect, that was one of my favorite moments, because so much of it also felt like little small squabbles, but very fun squabbles between bassists or drummers. And there is an aspect of potentially hijacking or a guerrilla-ness to it. So when somebody puts on the band and they just...
You know how it works. Look at you knowing how it works.
No, that's Wikipediaing. I don't take credit for knowing.
I mean, I will say that Lombardo learning it was like the cutest thing in the world. He's like, I don't know if I'm doing anything right. And it's like, you're Dave Lombardo. Like, you're doing everything right. What a sweetie. But yeah, I mean, like when you're on stage and stuff, you're just trying to pay attention. Like you can't really blink even. Like there's so much. You have to make sure there's a lot of reaching across and being like, we're going to play a duo, but the person you're playing a duo with is like 14 feet away from you.
Okay, yeah.
Monitors and stuff. Like it's a whole... And I think what it shares with Naked City is there's a lot of like music change things you can do. And like every time he does a certain downbeat, like a specific one, you're supposed to change the genre. And then, but what does genre mean if you're all three, if you're in a trio and he's asking you to do that? What does that mean? So it's not like you instantly go into like a country funk thing and then all of a sudden you're doing whatever else. Like you don't know. And sometimes, I mean, and then it troubles what like idiomatic improvisation is, which I think is probably my favorite aspect of the piece, as like a thought experiment. Because like, if you think about when it was like, you know, that late 70s Zorn period of all the other game pieces was coming out of when they were playing with Derek Bailey. And there was that particular scene in New York. And then it became like, well, how do we make improv parameters that like stretch people out or allow them to be themselves, but within a shifting context that's a little bit more organized? And Zorn's a Virgo and he loves being organized.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's true. I'm always late on emails with him, and that's okay.
Wait, so it's like I don't know. Can you explain like the rules in like a brief way, I guess? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is.
No, it's okay. I mean, I'm just imagining from your perspective, like hearing about all this without having the grounding of it. It's just, it could be total conjecture. But so essentially Zorn or someone acting as like the conductor, maybe, is standing at a table and he has all these like little cards. And he'll be like, somebody will go like, and then he'll hold up a card, and then they'll be like, you have to play that card. And the card could be louder, or it could be like duos with duos. You find a duo partner, or it could be like pool, which just means anyone can or can't play. May play or must play, or like those who aren't playing have to like crossfade in. There's like all these different ways, all these different cards, and you gesture using like face cues how to do it. And then all of that, you can just do it and be like, we're doing whatever, and then you have to do that. And then he just makes it clear to everybody, and he can veto your stuff, which he does.
Oh, really?
Not mine, but many people's. And like, it's very involved. And you can be a gorilla, you put on a headband, and then he puts on a hat to acknowledge that you've put on a headband, and you can like take a solo. Like, it's a lot of, it's really making clear the small choreographic like gestures that happen in improvised music, like it's postmodern in the sense that you could be doing this kind of assemblage type thing, but it's also postmodern in the sense that you're making the ritual of the performance of improvisation clear by like kind of extracting it like that. So it's cool. It's very 80s in that way.
The score, and that, I guess that's kind of why you could look at it in the postmodern ways. The score is literally a set of rules, or these game rules, that just repeatedly dictate some kind of new chance composition.
Yeah. He loves rules too.
I get it.
Sometimes you don't even know what they are, but he loves them.
Yeah. So how many people were like in the game, or how many people were playing the Cobra?
It's 4 drummers, 3 guitarists, vibes, organ, cello, bass, Trevor, and Simon. So 2 basses. I don't know, what's that, like 12 or 13? 12?
Yeah, that's wild.
I think it hit up 12 to 14.
What'd you say?
12 to 14? I don't know. I lost count.
It's usually 7. It's usually like 12. He needs 12 people-ish. It's easier for duos to have even, I think, but he's also really weird about having like vocalists or sax players. It's not really his bag for the game.
Interesting.
But there's a whole, it's a whole thing. But after you do it, it feels like you've just taken like an amazing walk. Like your brain is just like firing. You're like, wow. You're like having all these like thoughts. Like, I mean, the feeling, if there was a way to feel like you've just played a game of Cobra that wasn't like a drug, I guess reading a hard book, I don't really know. It's more active than that. It's a really nice sensation for me.
Yeah, that's sick. That sounds like a ton of fun. I would be totally down to see that at some point.
I always wonder if it sounds musical to other people, because there's a lot of negotiating on stage that I'm like,
there's an incredible amount of negotiation, and it's like, I don't know, because I listened to so many Astral Spirits tapes over the past like 4 years, I could get to a point to view it and be down for what was happening, but it's quirky. It can be very
quirky,
discordant. There's a lot of dissonance, but okay, like whatever.
Yeah.
They're watching basketball right now. Sorry.
Oh, the finals or what? Right? Isn't it like the finals right now?
Not my world, man. I don't know.
I know. Same. My friends are all like watching that stuff. I'm like, hey, you guys like trying to go out tonight? And they're like, game's on. And I'm like, okay.
It's hot. It makes me feel like Lana Del Rey, like just like waiting while my boyfriend does something.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
2014 Lana Del Rey, not like I haven't done a cartwheel since I was 9.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Were you going to buy a billboard this time around to promote the new Wendy album?
Yeah. No, I can't. It's already enough for me to be perceived on a Zoom call. Like I can't.
Right.
Understandable.
That's why I make difficult music, so I can travel, but no one has to look at me.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I think that leads into where we're going next, Thomas.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you want to take it, Maddie?
Oh, of course. Gee, speaking of making difficult music, you've been involved in DIY difficult music making for quite some time now. Could you take us perhaps to some kind of semblance of a 2010s origin at some point where maybe you're like, that's the first Wendy Eisenberg album, or that's the first Wendy Eisenberg performance that's like, yep, something.
Having someone just say your full name to you is so crazy. Has anyone done that to you?
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Huh? It's definitely a weird thing.
It's a thing. I just want to draw our attention to how it feels, because it's fascinating to me. I was texting my friend about how weird it is that people have been treating me with respect for a couple years. Anyway, so the first Wendy Eisenberg record. Well, the thing that got me into DIY at all, I had a few friends that were into free music that I just kind of knew, but
Mm-hmm.
and I was playing jazz. Shut up. Just kidding. And I was at Eastman, which is in Rochester, and there was like Carbon Records there. And I started playing with this guy, Brian Blatt, and we had a noise band. Actually, like if you see this, like that, that's like us in like 2012.
sick.
Oh, that's sick.
We can't make it out, but it's
No,
just two
that's
figures.
fine. It's weird for me to have like a picture of myself like in my room, but it's because I love Brian. And so Brian kind of brought me into the noise scene, and I was improvising guitar music, and he was doing like science, like table stuff. And that kind of like liberated me from jazz hegemonic weirdness. And I got kind of obsessed with playing shows, and I just started joining bands in Rochester and playing more and more and writing songs. And I'd written songs a lot as a kid, but then kind of like forwent that practice to be like a jazz guitarist for some reason. And then I couldn't do it. And then it came back right after I graduated. I was just writing a lot of songs. And then I moved to Boston to do more studying of music. And then I joined this band called Birthing Hips. And that was like a really, oh, thank you. Yeah. Really special band musically and otherwise. Like, I think that's where I really found the kind of guitar playing and the kind of rock music that I wanted to make. My project as a guitar player in that band was to find the meeting point between like Greg Ginn and Anthony Braxton.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Were you into any of the particular like offshoot weirdo Greg Ginn stuff that he'd done, like any of the Gone or Whore albums?
No, not really. I mean, it was just basically trying to misread the process of weeding out.
Fantastic. They're not worth listening to. Don't worry. But
that's great. There's a lot of stuff I don't know, so it's nice to know that I don't have to know it.
But
I'll trust you is what I mean.
I picked up in 2021 the Birthing Hips tape. I think you could still get it at the time, and it's a blast of an album. There's a
Thanks.
I really hate to say, hey, it's a mathy rock album. That's not the case. I think that's a bad connotation, but it's unnerved. There's some really fun tempos and a sense of juggling to it that I had come off of Auto, so
oh yeah,
like, oh sweet, more Wendy Eisenberg, like
so
yay.
Sweet.
But
that's so nice of you to listen that hard. And yeah, I mean, that was a cool band. Like I don't know, we all live in New York now, but I don't really know the score, but that was really important. And at the same time I was doing solo songs, and God, it's so funny. Like my whole life is a balancing act between like solo songs and like whatever rock thing that I'm doing, which right now is Editrix, which is like holy to me. And then like free jazz, or whatever art music of some kind, experimental music. I don't know what the fuck. I'm trying to not.
How do kind of, I guess, before we go more into some of the solo and free jazz stuff with the Editrix and Birthing Hip stuff, how were the sessions kind of recording these songs? What has been developing for you personally as you've gone on in those configurations?
So in both of those bands, we write collaboratively. Like there are some songs that Carrie would bring in. I would never really bring in a full song. I think it really started as Carrie's band, and then it became a more collaborative thing, which I think was difficult because, like, you know, being in a band is such a marriage, and you trying to figure out like what you want versus what's happening and whatever. But so we would write, like somebody would bring in a riff or like try to figure something out. And when that band broke up, I was so heartbroken for many reasons. One of them being that I thought that I would never be able to experience collaborative writing like that again, because I don't think you know this universe, but jazz musicians don't like to do that. Like they just like to have like, or I mean, I don't want to make such a glaring thing like that, but it doesn't seem like people like to write collaboratively in music that isn't like rock adjacent a lot of the time. Like it's really weird. I feel like people write like a jazz tune and then they bring it to existence collaboratively, but they don't often say like, I don't know about that B section. Like maybe it should be totally different, or maybe you should play this on the drums instead. Like there's never that sense of like compositional, like
collaboration or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to keep saying collaboration all the time, but that's what I mean. And so Birthing Hips was like amazing at that because everybody is so smart and had such cool ideas and such chemistry as writers. And it was just like gorgeous to And I was so sad that it wouldn't happen again. And I was like, do I have to keep leading bands? I don't want to do that. Cause like, it's so weird for me to lead a band as a songwriter. Like I have a lot of hangups about it. And, anyway, so that's kind of a thing. But then, yeah, I mean, so Editrix started because me and my friend Steve wanted to have like a new wave band for fun. And then we failed at that really.
Yeah, Editrix just played quite heavy. We got some heavy tunes.
Yeah, we're like a metal. We're like a trip metal band. Like I feel like that's actually kind of. I've never really put that together before now, oddly, but it seems true.
A trip. Are you combining trip hop with like a new metal here, or just right thrash metal? Okay.
I'm referencing like John Wolfeye's internet.
I see what's going on.
Yeah,
good stuff.
But I mean that band, like Editrix always writes in a room together. There's nobody who brings in a full song. Like it's totally collaborative, which is why like I know that I do the role of front person as the person who like sings and plays guitar, but like psychically
it's not like that. Yeah,
it doesn't feel like that. I mean, Steve is huge in it. Like Josh, I mean, no one drums like Josh. Like really amazing. So
that's
you
sick.
okay?
Oh no, I'm okay. Yes.
Cool.
I was just holding in a sneeze. Something was happening.
Look at the light.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if that really works, but yeah. So that's kind of. I mean, I just feel like if I don't have something like collaboratively writing, then it's really hard for me to write other stuff. Like it's hard for me to write alone. Like a lot of the songs in Auto are paradoxically about like how scared I am to try to write songs by myself.
This is true.
This is true.
At least Slowdown is. That one's coming to mind right off the bat.
I mean, that one's definitely the most explicit about it. But I mean, I remember Limits took a long time, even though it's like, that's on another record, but that was like around the same time. Whatever. Anyway, there's a lot of songs about like the limitations, even if it doesn't come out in any of the lyrical material, like something about the songwriting I was doing, especially around 2018 was like me being like, how am I supposed to write by myself? Like, where's my people, you know? Yeah.
I guess that pegs a little bit into some of the music I did want to talk about. Cause I remember when Auto was coming out at the time, I got sent promo of that early, I recall. And it was good. I was blown away because I was listening to Gaster del Sol and some other stuff at the time. So
it's totally there.
I picked up on, or at least I thought I was picking up on stuff. And then I listened. I was sent Cellini's Halo by the guy from Garden Portal, and that threw me for a loop because I wasn't familiar with your work in that realm, even though you had this great interview with Aquarium Drunkard, and you kind of stated that like you had kind of moved on with your career as a guitar player first, treating the instrument as a divining rod, and then developed as a writer second. And there is sort of, in my mind at least, this kind of loose trilogy of those albums, the Dissonance, Bent Ring, and Cellini's Halo, all are those kind of divining rod albums. And I'm curious again about your take on all three of those, all three of them reflecting you going to an instrument and just doing something.
That is such an amazing narrative that I would have no way of doing for myself. So thank you. And I think about that because I don't really listen to my music like that, which is good. Or is it? Who knows? Cool. Divining rod. Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, like when I started this thing, I was like really a guitar player, and like I had this really shitty, I had this really rough mentor who was he was emotionally abusive in a lot of ways, but one of the worst ones is that he was like, you shouldn't sing because there's people who really know how to sing.
Oh, that's
kind of partially why I don't write songs anymore. And it's like, I mean, I'm always insecure about my voice. Like I'm not Carrie. Like she's an exceptional vocalist, and you know, being in her shadow a little bit, just singing in a band after birthing hips, it's like been really tough because she's like virtuoso singer to me. But I wear that really hard. Like I took some voice lessons last year, and I love working on stuff. Like I'm a striver, so it's like fun for me to practice singing and to try to get better. But like really, like I focused for at least a decade it felt like almost exclusively on guitar. Really, really, really focused work. And like, it's hard for me to separate whatever it is that I do in any genre from like the amount of just like rigorous practicing that I've done in my life, because it's such a big part of like me experiencing faith in a weird way. Like, because practicing just really is like actually faithful. Like you do this thing and you owe something to music, and then it's like planting seeds and watering them. And then with banjo, it's like, it's so tactile wise similar to the guitar that it feels like I don't have to do that work. So my work is actually about defamiliarization. And then singing is similar, where like every technical thing that I have to learn is something I can't see. Whereas on guitar and on banjo, I mean, I mostly close my eyes, but like I can see it even then what I'm doing. But with singing, it's like I have to be aware that there's like a bone here, which there is. It's not attached to anything. Isn't that insane? You can go like this and touch it. And like, there's all this like stuff that I don't know that I now have to learn. And like, you don't have to learn about that bone to be a great singer, but like, it helps me because I don't know what I'm doing. So like, whatever divining rod thing, like also the fact of writing with people is like being able to, I don't know, it's like this, you know, it's easy to talk, but if you're talking totally by yourself, like I'm kind of doing now, like it's a little bit harder because you're kind of generating all of it. So in terms of like solo performance and solo composition and craft like that felt like a moment of real work. I have no idea what I'm answering anymore.
No worries. Do you think that you would kind of go back at any point to do more music in this style, like Slingy's Halo and Bent Ring?
Oh yeah,
because like from what I've read on the liner note pages and stuff, there's dedicated limits or looks at like taking that object to its most religious potential and just seeing what comes of it from your writing sketch. It's great.
Yeah,
that perspective.
Thank you. I mean, I think I have more solo guitar stuff in the works, and it's really different. Like some of it sounds like minimal techno, like which is kind of shocking. Sick. Like I didn't know that it would do that.
When you're talking about that, is it like, are you doing like a just intonation or like some kind of tuning that?
I'm always in standard tuning. I have one song in drop D, and even when I improvise, it's usually like normally tuned. Like I don't usually tune down or anything except for with Bill. Or
it made me think, because that last Horse Lords album, there's some moments where they say like, no, it sounds like we put electronics, but there aren't. And it's just because of that tuning they use that gets a minimal techno thing. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's about like a sense of, I have some effects on it, but not like real minimal techno effects. And mostly it's like a relationship between tone. And one of the things that I love about techno is like when you can feel a human hand in it. And I was trying to do that by like getting that quantized feeling by being really rhythmically precise, but live.
That's sick.
It's such an interesting evolution to know that's in the pipeline, because I know there's still maybe a few copies of the early works left, and these are really good pop. I mean, these are really good. I hate to twee doesn't quite feel like the right word, but I really did appreciate these songs from. I love like a lot of that double whammy stuff, the early Florist or Frankie Cosmos or Free Cake for Every Creature, and these songs are a blast. They're really fun little time capsules. And they also remind me of Jessica Pratt. The fidelity. The fidelity that you got on these are really good. But
that was recorded in Long Island, which is where the Cellini's Halo and DeHissens were both recorded, but like in a different city. I'm a really big fan of recording in this one house on Long Island. But thanks for saying that. Those are my first ever solo songs ever. Like I called it collected early works at the time. And my friend Trevor recorded that, and I thought it would be a funny joke later, and I was right. God dang it. But
that's funny.
But I feel like, you know, that's such a nice compliment. I'm glad that you like those songs, because I think a lot of them are really good. I think they're kind of underrated, like by me. And like then I go back and hear it, and I'm like, hey, this is actually nice. But the thing I think my favorite solo record is DeHissens with songs, but like I think Time Machine is maybe the most spooky. And like
the one I gotta hear. See, I got blind spots.
Well, that one, it was an edition of 35.
Oh,
and then it got reissued by Feeding Tube, but I think there might be it might be sold out. I could send you one because I have 9 or 8 of it. Like it's hella rare. I kind of want them to repress it, or someone to, because it's like very spooky, like it's where I discovered like what harmony can do really as a songwriter. Like everything that kind of came, because the songs on early works are so tonal.
Yeah.
And like something broke in like 2017 in my life. I don't really I know a few things, but I don't know what it was. But then harmony needed to, like the world needed to sound different. And it really started with that record.
And then I'm assuming, because this all continues on to Otto, which we talked with Nick Zonka probably about 18 months ago, very briefly. He chimed in on a few factors, and we've got, if you could dive into any detail, we have a few things we want to ask about it. The times you listen to Blemish.
Yeah.
Yes. How game changing was Blemisher? What did the work of David Sylvian impart on this era?
I mean, Finez and Derek Bailey and David Sylvian on a record. Like, what else would you need to be haunted?
Yeah.
And if you're already haunted, and I mean, I'd never heard anything quite like it. It was beautiful and true and raw and honest and also interesting musically, because I think a lot of people think that honesty in music comes from being lyrically very vulnerable. But I think the music is almost more vulnerable on a lyrically vulnerable record like that. There's something to it that's like really gutting, and I wanted to be that emotionally available on Otto, but like there's a sense of distance that I don't think exists on Blemish that exists in Otto, and I think it's just because I'm a spacier person.
I can see.
Yeah. But I mean, it was a real game changer, and like some of Otto was recorded in the super weird house that I was living on in Western Mass in this town called Northfield on the campus of like Northfield Mount Herman, but like nobody was living on that campus because the whole campus had moved to like another city, town, and like a little bit away. And so I was just surrounded by empty buildings, living in a mostly empty building. And like we recorded some stuff there. And at Blemish, I would listen to, and it just reminded me, it sounded like that. Like it sounded like something had been somewhere and then it wasn't, which is, I know what it's more or less about.
Yeah. That's not, because also the other like Finez releases from the time they have that sense of place, but they don't do stuff like that. And again with David Sylvian, he'd never done an album. He shows up on a lot of Virgin ambient comps because he'd been putting in the time, but he'd never done something like that. He never shows that sense of space on a release.
I mean, I think Nick and I were talking a lot about that, like Nick, like listening to the Mark Hollis record too.
Oh, yep, that's a big one.
And also, I mean, like sleeper hit maybe for some, but White Bread Black Beer, the 2006 Scritty record, it's a lot happier sounding, even though it's not always as happy, but it has a similar spaciousness to me.
It's funny because today I was just visiting the 1999 record. And I have the single of Tinseltown, and the first time I got and heard it, I'm like, this is probably his best work he ever did. I was shocked that late in the career, he could have like been a beat maker and just was like, no thanks. But
he made beats all over the 2006 one.
And yeah, then he starts doing that. And he still says, like, he has an interview from a couple years ago where Green has said, I have a ton of unfinished beats. He seems to want to make another album, but it's just like, it'll show up when it does. I love that catalog. I have I don't know where my copy of Cupid is, but I have like a bootleg of it, and it rules. You can hear the vinyl hiss. It's great.
I have a record of it. I mean, he's a really big deal for me. He's the kind of person I want to be, like really thoughtful and conscientious. And I think probably one of the like unsung virtues of a studio system like that is how it allows people to just become freaks later.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if I want any success, it's kind of like wanting to be a musician so that you could eventually go to San Francisco. If I want any success, it's so that later I can make even weirder stuff. But I've learned how to do that on the cheap, so maybe I don't need to want that.
The one thing, that I love about, one of the many things I do love about Otto, and it shows up again in a track like it's the Futures. This is the one part about Otto. That's why it's the best album ever. It's the little bridge on Futures that goes from live to not live to studio. Yes, there's all these little mixes and matches. I'm wondering though, how was the album kind of edited or sequenced, and especially then on the micro level for those edits in between songs?
Well, I mean, existentially, that was coming from this heat, you know.
Oh,
that
sick.
one, yeah, that song. We were just trying to do that, I think, but
There we go.
there's a lot of just like Nick doing editing, because like I'd written these songs and played them alone a million times all over the East Coast, and then I was like, I gotta make a record. Here I go. I should do that. Like I take way too long, and I think that I don't because I keep writing songs. But I mean, I have like thousands. It feels like, not really, but many songs that are unrecorded now, and I'm like, what am I doing? But it was a lot of me being like, I think it should feel like this, and sending like a really long Google Doc because I didn't live in New York at that time. I was in Western Mass still. And I would just be like, what about this? Or like, what about that? And then Nick would just kind of do it. So I feel like you should just talk to Nick, because like I wrote the songs and I wanted the guitar to sound a certain way. And I wanted to sing like equally between Green Guard Side and Blossom Dearie. Like that was the voice for it. And like, just, I knew what I wanted to do for my stuff. But like, I just think a lot about how like these songs existed solo in a really pure form. And part of me sometimes wants to make like a auto with no production just to see what it's like again. Because when I play it live, it's usually like that. Like I only just now have a new trio that I'm trusting with my songs. And even then we're mostly a free music band.
So
you never know.
do you think, so again, you've got these unrecorded songs right now. Now there's also this trio stuff. I'm just wondering, like, would you work in kind of a parallel mindset or in similar circumstances to how you would approach another batch of lyric oriented songs? Do you think though, because Auto itself, there's a lot of stuff that happens on this album and it's a super resonant album for me. I respect the hell out of it. I don't know if like, I don't need Auto 2, but also there's so much happening. I'm wondering like, yeah, what would lyrics be on the next album?
Oh, well, I mean, I have a record that is almost done being mixed. We just are waiting on one song. That's kind of jazz that has like some of the coolest songs I've ever written on it. And like,
that's sick.
So it's got a lot of, it feels actually like a blend of a lot of these things. Like there's a really strong noise element on it. There's like some really classic feeling like jazz standard type songs on it. There's a loungy type Horace Silver song on it somehow. Like this, it's a lot. And it's this suite that I wrote about getting LASIK, and it's a jazz sextet playing stuff. And so I don't really know if anything could be Auto 2 that isn't just raw like songs in a row, but like the lyrics on that are all about like the failure of sight to be complete. Kind of like the way that words can only describe stuff in words. Like sight can only show you what you see, which is like limited necessarily, especially by interpretation. And so the lyrics are kind of equally heady, but it's a little bit less like, ooh, what is sight? And more like, I don't know, in my own perspective here.
I'm excited for a song about LASIK. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like there's gonna be a good line there.
Yeah, there's literally. Yeah, I mean, it's real. It's coming. And it's happening. I don't know when exactly. It's really close though, and that's happening. And then I'm doing a totally acoustic songs record.
That's sick.
Yeah, I don't want to say much more because I'm terrified that I suffer from magical thinking, like we all do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you should. I think Time Machine is the coolest. Maybe that's Auto 2 for you.
Sweet. Thank you. It says it in the name. It's a time machine. Okay.
Yeah, right.
For the longest time, like, I just remember this, like, in the mid 2000s, like, the post Gorilla Toss Boston years, like, I was thinking a lot about time. I like wanted to write a book on like musical time. And that was all those things, like early works is about time, like just the title, and like Time Machine is obviously about time. And then Auto broke that. Love time.
Yeah.
Now that cycle's done, what's the new focus now? Post time? Is it?
Oh, it was Sight.
Now Sight.
Yeah, just really gigantic German topics.
Yeah.
And then, is there going to be like an album like Wendy Eisenberg, just all about smells? Just.
You should say that. I love perfume. Did you know?
Goodness.
Well, it's like music. You can't see it, but it affects you, and it's definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
Darn it.
Well, I don't know. I think that just about does it for all the questions we have, right? Maddie, was there anything else we should add, or should we go into some listener questions now?
I think we're listener question ready.
Okay.
Okay, so
So I'm just got one. Why are you still doing this?
yeah. So this one says, what books have you been reading?
Okay, I'm rereading The Moviegoer by Walker Percy. It's
Sick.
really perfect. You know that book?
I don't know it.
We
It's
don't.
What's it called? The
I
movie?
work at a library, but I read the graphic novels and the Criterion films.
That's cool. You're a looker,
Yeah.
if you will.
I'm gonna have a day I plan where I'm going through and getting like 20 books. Just gonna rent all the nonfiction stuff.
You want to see all the books I'm reading right now?
I do actually. Yeah.
All right here. This is my little stack.
Oh, sick.
Okay, so let's start with the ones I'm honestly reading. So this one, The Moviegoer.
Sick. I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Or something. It's just like a perfect classic novel about a stockbroker about to be 30 in New Orleans. And it's just, I keep saying it's a perfect novel, but like, what else can you really say? It's like, it's just true. It honors its subject. And then I'm also reading, and I'm a teacher at a college, and so I get interlibrary loan, so you can't really see it. But
sick.
A while ago, like Zach Phillips recommended that I read this book about art called On the New by Boris Groys, and it's really blowing my mind. So those are
shout out to ILLs though. Yep, that's so valuable.
Interlibrary loan is the biz. It's amazing. We love it.
That's how I got Mark Master's No Wave book from San Francisco, and it's a great. The images phenomenal, but that's like an $80 to $160 book. Nope, free rental.
I have a lot of respect for and love for the library, but these two together don't really work. So I'm also, before bed, I like to read this Eileen Myles book. And
Not me. What's that one about?
I think it's just, you should just read it. It's Eileen Myles. Like, you can't go wrong. You know, skinny lines, very human. There's a joke about them being a Kennedy. It's really funny. This is a really cool book that I'm also rereading. I'm in a big rereading stage because I don't know any books. And this is just like really, it's a fake history, or maybe a real history of this one guy's trips to Argentina, where he's trying to like represent in art like the entire the totality of this guy Humboldt's vision of the whole. This is really this is a book on poetry that I read a lot.
Sick.
And it's like about it because I don't really know what poetry is. And I love Bruno Schultz, and so I read some of his short stories from here a lot.
Nice.
So those are like the ones that I'm hanging out with. But like, I mean, I also have some like Rilke here and Cookie Mueller's book. My boyfriend got that for me. And so I've been reading that on and off. But it's like when I read her, when I read like Wojnarowicz, I just get really mad thinking about like the government response to pandemics, and then I need to cool down. So it's like a lot of like rage that I need to hang out with more. So those books.
Awesome.
I hope that answers the person's question.
Yeah, dude.
Which is another answer being I should probably get out more.
Okay.
We got a lot to read now. TBD.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, I'm gonna have to listen back. Yeah, book club coming up. Stay tuned.
You should read this. Rodney Mullen's biography from like 1998 or whatever.
Dude, that's sick. I didn't know he had a... Dude, that's awesome.
It's great. I mean, like, it's pretty dated, like, language-wise. Is it from 1998? He's the most interesting person in the world to me.
Dude, that guy's a legend. Yeah, like, I just, grew up.
You just
like,
connected with our West Coast skateboarder Hertz.
I used to look up to that guy.
Gainesville excellence, you know. Got to call in the Floridian East Coastness of him a little bit, but then again, whatever. He's perfect. He's the truest artist I've ever.
Thank you, dude, for this Eileen Myles rec. I'm gonna pick that up. Like,
you should get your new book.
That's a dead. Oh, I only do hardcovers. I've got, what do I have on the ground? I've got something cool. I got this.
Oh, that's cool.
This is nice. Tokyo Rose, a story of the Japanese woman who was having to basically work for the Japanese during World War II and was pardoned over 30 years later. It's incredible stuff. Wild story. I love that they're doing a lot of graphic novels of that kind of stuff now.
That's cool.
Yeah. Shout outs.
Cool. Tokyo Rose. All right.
Okay, so this next one says, this one,
This one's
honestly
bad.
doesn't make sense, but we got it. So I'm gonna read it. It says, has anyone really been far even as decided to use even go want do look more like?
Is this real? Can you do it again?
Has anyone really been far even as decided to use even go want do look more like? I don't know if it was meant to make sense.
It really feels.
It feels like auto, like they're just like auto, like using the auto text. You know what I mean? Like the autofill. Yeah, that's what it seems like.
That makes me. What does that remind me of? That reminds me of this book, For the Ride.
Nice.
Yeah, I got libraries there and here.
It's okay. Yeah, we got ours all around.
Like just like a thing that just kind of like it's definitely words.
Yeah.
But they're not really doing what words normally do.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of like this energy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's I forget the name of these poems. In 4th grade, I read one about an apple.
Yeah, the like image guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those things are big when you're in 4th grade.
Wait a minute. I want to recommend another book because I can't hang out with that question too much. It's gonna give me
just keep them coming.
This book, Autobiography of Death. It's the best book ever. It's a book of poems by Kim Hai-soon, and it's incredible. It's like life-changingly good.
That's awesome.
Let's add it to the list.
And I also just finished Tell Me How Long the Train's Been Gone by James Baldwin, which is like a masterpiece, and it's so angry and it's so incomplete and it's so perfect.
Oh man.
So
the rain does look bad.
No,
I'm kidding.
I have a Kindle and I tour, and what am I gonna do? Okay. Like drugs? No.
You can just play Minesweeper? TikTok?
Yeah, they got the games online. No. I'd rather just like look at pictures of or look at videos of Rodney Mullen and like read my little book.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
Are you a TikTok user?
No. I get it like downstream on Instagram sometimes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sick. Yeah.
Is that one of the questions?
No, I was just asking. Because Maddie said something about TikTok, and I was like, "Oh, are you a fan of TikTok?"
I like cute videos of animals. So does Bill.
Oh, really? That's a really good Bill fact. That's nice to hear.
I have more specifics, but it's his story to tell.
All I will say is that my parents, they're older than Bill. They're not as old as Bill, but they're Bill's generation.
Okay.
And they've got Instagram. They love animal. My dad loves the cat videos. That's been like his go-to factor.
Older people love a good, cute animal.
You know that cat that has a southern accent that goes, "Well, hi."
Yeah.
No, I don't that's actually.
Really big in my life now. Here, let me show you my For You page. Like all animals.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That is one of the best For You pages I've ever seen.
It's incredible. And then there's like a little BAM on the bottom, just like really clogging up the works. But
yeah.
It's mostly birds and like dogs.
Sick.
Anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
Just like Merzbow. Love animals.
So this next question, it says, what music are you inspired by that you think would be surprising to your listeners?
Hey, we didn't ask this. We didn't ask the music inspiration question.
Yeah, sorry. It wasn't
We're not taking...
I don't know. I mean, being surprising to my listeners, assuming it's surprising to me that I have listeners. I think, what would be surprising? I think my music is like expansive enough that I can't imagine anything really being surprising. I really like 3-6 Mafia. I don't really make anything that sounds like that. Like, sorry. I don't know. I mean, it's like not surprising that I'm like a Dan fan. It's not surprising that I'm into country music. Like,
yeah. I mean, Steely Dan's just classic. The people that hate on it, it's kind of like, come on, dude. You're not.
It's so funny.
Like, you can't stop trying to be cool. You know what I mean?
I just don't like it when people are wrong. Just kidding. I mean, you can like what you like, but I think Gaucho is pretty unimpeachable. But also, I feel like maybe something that isn't a surprise, but a recommendation is if you use like SoulSeek or you're really good at the internet or something, and you can do eBay and get a CD of the Rare Tracks of Whack by Walter Becker. That's like just unbelievable music because it's the most alone guy stuff in the world, and he's doing like the Fagin impression, and he's singing, and the songs are like bad and they're so good.
Have you heard the China Crisis album that he produced? Yeah, that one, that's good. I'm looking over at my little Steely Dan tape collection. I'm like, yeah, That's the goods. I've got 3 copies of Gaucho. Don't worry.
Yeah. I mean, that's really good. I mean, it's perfect music. But also, I mean, I don't know, like, what is surprising?
I don't know, like,
I thought the Greg Ginn thing was surprising. So, like, from a personal perspective, like, rock on. Like,
I mean, I like rock and roll. Like, I really love portable. Like, I lift weights and I lift weights to metal.
Oh, hell yeah.
Do you like Puddle of Mud's Blurry? Do you know that song?
I do. I know that from growing up.
Yeah, that's just a big song for me. It's been since the pandemic, really, the anthem.
That's amazing. Pandemic anthem. I guess like maybe a surprise is that my first favorite band was Collective Soul. Like unironically, like I had all their CDs.
That's sick.
That's just like a good like random one. Like
yeah,
whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like that. Like I like their vibe. I don't know. I even like Dosage. That band got me into the band Morphine, who I love.
One of the funniest things that ever happened was bought a tape off eBay. It was a Bats album, the New Zealand Jangle Band.
Cool, okay.
And I put it on to play. First track is Morphine Cure for Pain. The guy had even left the tape on, overdubbed this Bats album with the Morphine album. And I was like, I've got a Nakamichi deck, we'll be fine. And then the deck died on me, but I did restore that Bats album.
Hell yeah.
I just messaged him like, why do you say it was like dubbed over with the Morphine? I don't care. This is funny.
That's really funny. I mean, both of those things are great. Oh, I guess here's a surprise. My friend Clark reminded me about the Hoyle card game that you could play on the computer, the Solitaire. There's a soundtrack to it. It's incredible.
Really?
Everyone talks about the Hoyle soundtrack to playing Solitaire. The track called Urban is like 42 seconds. No, not Urban is... The shuffle track is like really short and it goes like insanely hard. It's amazing. So yeah, but that's like a Clark thing. I don't know. He's a genius. He doesn't make music, so I don't know if you know him, but just incredible.
Sick.
Good Rex.
Yeah.
All right. So this last one here, it says, could an improv sitcom ever be as rewarding as an improv musical performance?
What do they mean?
I have no idea.
Can you ask that again also?
Yeah, could an improv sitcom ever be as rewarding as an improv musical performance? It's so funny. I feel like we're doing like a school like trivia or something. I don't know.
I weirdly got a vision of people asking Data from Star Trek that. Like, what would happen? Like, would he just short circuit? Like, I mean, so the presupposition here is that improv shows are rewarding, which is generous. And sometimes they're not. Sometimes they are. The other thing is that sitcoms aren't rewarding. And I think their whole thing is that they reward you. And that's why people like to watch them a lot, including me sometimes. I think, like, would it be improvised or would it be about improvised music? Because I feel like if there is going to be like a sitcom about improvisers, like it's so dramatic because it's such a micro scene that like that would be like, I would personally be really rewarded by that. Like, first of all, representation is important. Second, we do better at this, but like also, come on. I mean, like we're such drama people. Like we're just like, oh my God, they got this thing. And it's like, you make the streaky whatever. Sorry, I love improvised music. I'm really not sounding like I do. I love it. But I'm like, if you were to improvise drama, I mean, like I was in a hotel and like Whose Line was on and it was like really, I remember liking it as a kid and I just really couldn't connect with it. And I'm like, but improv comedy can be really good, maybe? Yeah. Would it be an improvised sitcom? And is an improvised sitcom like possible? Because like it's a situational comedy. So would the situation that they're improvising on be like the fact that they have to make one, which is like a little bit too 90s, 2000s?
I'm wondering, I want to say noted canceled comedian Louis C.K. He had that show in 2016 that he distributed on his website, and he did it week by week with Steve Buscemi. And that was like, I never watched it, never paid the money, but that was bordering from what I had read on. He was improvising a sitcom. They had their bar space and they just let topics happen in there and they recorded what worked, or like they had a rough outline of a plot, but yeah.
So like metalcore that's so like Jim Jarmusch in the 90s or anytime. Like that's an aesthetic that like many other aesthetics has like a lot of value, but I just do not know if it would be called rewarding. Like it's interesting and it can be transcendent, but rewarding? I mean, that word is really like gumming up the works for me.
I respect the just brutal breakdown of this question.
Yeah, this is sick.
I want to understand it. This is what my brain does. This is why my songs sound like this, because I'm like, what does it do? Why is that like that? Like, can I do that? And like,
I'm just trying to think now. Also, like, oh no, a bunch of show bookers and DIY musicians across Brooklyn they're getting into improv or something, or they're all trying to start drama now. Now you got me thinking of random stuff, like the guy from Island House who seems lovely trying to cause beef, and he would never do that.
No. Like the thing is, like the older I get, the more convinced I am that people only start beef when they're trying to do something that feels honest to them, that they believe in. Like, I don't think that people are genuinely malicious. I think they just have like weird intentions, and like, life is just confusing, and like maybe people's wants don't always like align with other people's wants and whatever. Like people are complex and always changing, and life and its standards are complex and always changing. And so like the beef that I notice is like based on weird intentions not working with each other, and also people just being poor communicators. And I guess, which actually brings us to this thing, would it be rewarding is if a sitcom's whole thing is like something is not communicated that well, like, and that's where comedy and tragedy come from, is just like this misunderstanding. And it's like so human. Like, couldn't you be real Truman Show about this and be like, our conjecture of like some show booker saying that like, this is bad, this is good, like this is drama, like I'm going to start drama. Like, isn't that its own like weird sitcom for people? Because like life is so like mediated that like we can witness our lives as being dramatic, and like we can view these things as a narrative. And then we're separate from it. So it's like we're watching the sitcom of people doing this. This is I'm not stoned. It sounds like I'm stoned, but I'm trying to like refine this idea that maybe an improvised sitcom is actually just like what people are trying to do now because of like we see ourselves.
Yeah.
Would you buy that?
Yeah, I would.
I think there's something to it. It's funny also because we briefly talked earlier about TikTok and other stuff. And we talked to another Brooklyn or New York musician. It was Time Warp way back. And Time Warp has done the Saturday. She's done her like shows or like sketch comedy shows. And we talked. She mentioned how she knows musicians that are trying to do TikTok or trying to do like the improvised comedy or promote stuff. And it's not funny. It ends up like they miss the mark. They know the naturalness. And I don't know, Wendy, in your answer, there's an undercurrent of the naturalness being emphasized there. It's good.
See, this is amazing. We're probably at time or something, but like,
no, we're good.
I'm just thinking like really unnecessarily hard about this question. Whoever asked it should be knighted or something. But because like I think of myself as like a reasonably funny person. Like I can come up with a joke real fast when I need to and whatever. But like I could never imagine myself going up and like being funny. And I think that's the same thing with people who appreciate and generate sound, where like a lot of them could be great improvisers, but like they're great improvisers in a pre-existing like roster of sounds that people understand to be improvised music versus like maybe risking something more conventional or familiar or defamiliar something where like all of a sudden improvised music becomes a set of gestures rather than like understanding in a kind of Cobra adjacent way, like a set of parameters that like improvisation happens between and around and beyond. And I think like maybe that's the people not being able to do like improv comedy or like TikTok who are musicians. It's because they're thinking about comedy as an idiom rather than like a genuinely like startling or like a place for real observation. The same way that I believe like great improvised music is like an observation of sound, like either as it's happening or like a sound that maybe no one's heard. And for a while, like it was the way that Derek Bailey or Albert Eiler or whoever, whatever person you care about is like how they might deal with sound, but it also might be how you deal with sound. And when I hear something kind of startling, like it's because they're treating it like a practice rather than a result.
Nice.
Yeah.
We got to some. This is
that was sick.
A great place to end on. I don't know.
Yeah, that's felt meaningful, even if it wasn't.
I think we have one more that's like not as deep, but we got it.
That one was maybe.
Yeah, maybe this one will get deep. We'll see. But it says favorite guitar pedal you're using right now.
Oh.
Oh man. I like my longsword.
What is
always
that?
On my Electronic Audio Experiments. This is a guy out of Boston who I met via Miranda, who does front of house sound for Pile. She builds for them.
Oh, sick.
And she's amazing. But she got me involved. Actually, my friend Andy, who I saw today at the Retrofret thing, he was doing something for D'Addario. Doesn't my life sound so guitar-y right now? It's like,
it really does. It's kind of sick. Yeah, it's dope.
It's really not often like this, but it's...
I like he just dropped like a bunch of just guitar brands all in like, yeah, it was sick.
I know, it was like a Mad Libs or something, but I saw Andy, and Andy's lovely, and he'd recommended it because I was using a full drive for my overdrive distortion thing, my boost, and it wasn't getting the sound I wanted, and he recommended this incredible pedal, which is just like a dual overdrive that sounds like a distortion and a boost that's just like incredible, and the EQ on it is so special, and I think everything that company makes is incredible. The drops sell out in like an instant, so the fact that I have one is like insane to me.
That's pretty sick.
So that's like my like rare but like constant one. But like the pedal that, I mean, probably the pedal that's like the most useful counterintuitively to me is the Harmonist, the Boss PS6. It's like poor man's whammy a little bit, but it also has the Boss chorus, and I like making triads on it and just floating kind of irrelevant triads when I'm rising because I think it's beautiful. So I like to run two of those at the same time and just see what they do.
Oh, that's sick. So
yeah, I want a board of like 5 someday.
How many of those have you ever ran together?
2.
Just 2?
I mean, like, I'm really a set it and forget it person. I don't usually buy a lot of gear. And I made a big purchase when I turned 30 and got a telly, but really I just have the same stuff I've had since high school mostly. So like kind of like I'm totally cheap. So
you're not trying to join the pedal industrial complex.
Yeah.
It's harder to travel. Like even if the other thing is like I was talking with a student yesterday about volume, and it's so interesting to me how much people think that like tone comes from, I mean, tone obviously comes from pedals too, and amps definitely, but like, but there's so much in the dynamics. Like when you play dynamics on the longsword and it's in the uncompressed switchy, this is real guitar stuff. Like you can go from clean to dirty just by like digging in, and you listen to somebody like Danny Gatton, who's like my all time, and like so much dynamics, and it's so loud and it's so hot, and then it's so quiet. And is it quiet existentially or is it actually quiet? Like you don't really know what dynamics are. And so like if you have control of that, like sometimes I wonder if like every sound that a pedal is trying to do, except for the really creative ones, maybe it's just people trying to approximate what a telly could already do. Maybe that's conservative sounding of me. Because I do a lot of things that sound like pedals, but they're just like weird harmonics and stuff. So it's like, it's about what you can dream up, which is why I like Rodney Mullen, because like he skates like that.
Oh yeah. Do you have any, I guess, like pedals that you want to get, that you have like your eye on, that you're like, if it wasn't so expensive, if I didn't have to sacrifice rent for this month, I would buy that one?
No. I mean, I would always love another Rat. They sound great. Like, I don't know. I'm a man of the people. I like Boss pedals.
Hell yeah.
I think if I wanted to, like, I don't know. I mean, like, it would be cool. I mean, I have the expensive pedal that I'd want, which is a ZVEX ringtone, which is just 9 ring mods altogether.
Yeah. Dude, I really like the ZVEX, what's it, the Fuzz Factory? That one's sick,
I have that one too. It's like, I don't need any other pedal besides those two.
Dude, that one is so sick. I was looking for a fuzz pedal recently, and I was considering getting that one, but I didn't want to spend the money, so I ended up getting a...
Go on Reverb, dude.
I know. I want that one.
It's so cheap.
My friend has one, and he was showing me it, and I was like, dude, the stuff you can do with that is insane.
You do a whole noise set with only that.
Yeah, dude. crazy. But I ended up,
Glorious.
my friend makes pedals for this company called like Ren and Cuff. Have you heard of it? It's like some local-ish brand. Anyways, it's just a green Russian like clone or something, I guess. I don't really know. I was just trying to like listen to like all the fuzzes that they make, and they all sound the same to me. So I was like, I just make me like the green Russian clone.
I mean, that's why I have the Fuzz Factory, because you can get any fuzz with it.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
yeah, it's like a rice cooker.
Mm-hmm.
What?
The alliteration of Fuzz Factory. It's just so funny.
Yeah,
it feels amazing. I mean, there's a book. No, there's another. This is weird writer Gil Sorrentino that I've been trying to get into, and he has a lot of weird lettery things. Anyway, sorry, totally irrelevant. But yeah, I mean, if you ever, find a $1,000 bill, you should get like 4 Fuzz Factories and one E6.
Which one?
My volume pedal, that's a harmonist.
Oh, okay. Sick.
But volume pedal was free from a friend. So was my delay pedal. Because like DIY world,
yeah,
you know how to color it a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I want to get a good reverb pedal next time or something. I don't know.
That's hard. You know what's really good? This guy lent me his, and I just might not ever give it back. Is the Nunnaber Wet?
Oh, really?
It's just called Wet. And my roommate out there likes to say, "Wet is the new dry." So
that was. Yeah, that sounds like a shoegaze pedal there.
Wet.
Yeah, but if you don't put it in like full space out mode, it's just a gorgeous.
Yeah.
How you want a room to sound.
I also just got
that was the thing. The MBV sound, it all comes from taking that 180s pedal and pushing it to 100% wet.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing that, you're not playing with that preset.
Yeah.
You're going for nice, spacey, beautiful sound.
Yeah. Mm.
I just got a Behringer pedal because it was like, I found it on Facebook Marketplace for like $10. It's a Behringer chorus pedal. It's honestly
legendary.
It's kind of sick, but also like I don't like it because it like does this weird thing with like the amp, and it makes like it like this heartbeat. Like when you turn up like the oscillation or something or whatever it does, it sounds like just like in the amp.
That's useful. That sounds really interesting and useful.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love that kind of thing though, like a strange oscillation.
Yeah.
Like one thing I've been really tripping out on is the fact that like my pickups are really sensitive, and I always wear this watch that I weirdly took off for this, and so I wear this watch when I play, and it just, you can hear it when I play when I'm really quiet.
Oh, really? That's kind of sick.
Yeah.
That's wild, actually, that your like, pickups pick that up. Yeah, that's kind of sick though. Like we'll have to listen for that in like a record or something, unless you like take your watch off when you play. I don't know.
Well, when I'm nervous, I have to take my watch off sometimes. Though today, when I was doing the demos for Retrofret, I had it on, and I almost took it off. And I was like, "Nah," because it's a pretty hard watch. Like it's a really beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's like a Casio, and it's like looks like a Rolex or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say you rocking a Rolex or what?
No, like I said, I'm cheap.
Yeah,
I go to the library. I don't wear a Rolex.
Rolexes are wild.
Libraries for everyone.
Exactly.
That's true. Even for
economical, and it's fantastic. You're saving money every time you go.
I used to work in a library too.
Oh yeah.
Both at my college and in real life. It's great.
Sick.
Yeah. Anyways.
The one thing, we didn't, before we get to the very final question, we never mentioned you were a graduate student at NYU for performing arts. I don't know. Are you still doing graduate stuff at all?
Yeah. It hurts my heart to correct you, but it's performance studies.
Oh God, that's right. Performing studies. And I even wrote that right. Oh no.
No, it's really, the reason it hurts my heart is because I thought the project of performance studies was a little bit different than it was. I won't say more than that, but I'm not. It was a 1-year-long master's program. It was during COVID, so it feels like it didn't really happen. I liked the people I met there, and I liked reading a lot of books, but it's a very strange thing because I was thinking about pivoting to academia, and then I didn't really want to do that, in part because of doing a grad program during COVID, and also because guitar is more fun and you can travel more.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's interesting is for that program, I wrote a thesis about artists who quit, because there's something interesting to me about like, if you quit being an artist, like it doesn't mean necessarily that you quit making art, but there's some sort of identity that you can take on as artist, either within the marketplace or like as a psychic role that you play. And I want to explore that. So I've been like writing about that, and I'm working on a book about it that I've never pitched a book. It's just like a fun thing for me to do. I don't know. Yeah. So like, at least there's that I got out of that.
That's a good philosophical thing to end up with. I don't know. That's what education does. You get a couple takeaways. I still have some papers I work on from undergrad or look at.
Great. Yeah. I mean, it's a really fertile world, and I love learning. And so I don't regret it at all for that. But it is strange to talk about performance with total geniuses who in many cases don't perform.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, we know some CalArts people that are doing similar stuff out here on the West Coast.
Kind of trendy, I feel now, because everyone rightfully is in awe of someone like Fred Moten's brain, and they want to kind of do that, and I think that they should. But it's amazing. He's a totally brilliant guy, but like, it's really hard and mostly unrewarding. There's a word.
There it is.
Because it's like, you can talk about this and it's fun, but like a lot of the environment, I also found it activated something competitive in me that I didn't like. So it's good for me to not be in school, because I like to love people and smile, not to not.
I feel.
Okay, so we have one more question, Wendy. It's kind of the biggest one of the show. Are you ready for it?
I thought I was. I don't know.
Yeah. Maddie, do you want to take it? You want me to take it?
Thomas, I think you take it out, because I wrote the question out.
I know. I see that you wrote me a scenario. All right. So
I'm
Wendy,
just this converts out of fear now.
Maddie wrote out a scenario for me. This is so this is a big one. So you get a special delivery for a new rat pedal from Sweetwater. But when you open it, instead you find that there is a white Sweetwater representative rat that is going to jump into your mouth. And do you want the rat to jump into your mouth head first or butt first, and why?
Head first, because I feel like a rat is smaller on the head, so I have more of a grab onto to pull it out.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
And
also,
again,
I have a really sensitive gag reflex, so I think that would kind of fuck me up.
Oh yeah.
I have probably, it's the same thing for me with the gag reflex, and it's terrible. And we still ask this question every time.
Could I keep the rat? I really love animals.
You choose your own destiny, so you could totally keep the rat if you wanted to.
I would take it out of my mouth, and then I would give it a nice home.
Yeah.
Again, this lab rat, this little guy, it's just a cute white rat. He's wearing a little Sweetwater vest. This is your Sweetwater representative.
Yeah, he's going to call you,
help you,
send you emails.
Yeah, for all your pedal needs, your chords. Yeah. You're set.
I mean, it would be cool to be sponsored by Rat. Or Sweetwater, which I don't think is a thing. But yeah, I mean, I don't really want a rat in my mouth. I have a small mouth. Rats can be kind of big. I live in the city.
Yeah.
I don't want a city rat.
Rats,
if it's like a nice pet rat.
Yeah. No, that's exactly the rat you're getting here.
If it jumps head first, it also, like, for the rat's sake, like, it knows where it's going. If it's jumping backwards, that's weird to me. Like,
oh yeah. Well, we usually say it like falls or something. It's like more believable. Like, say, and you see it, and you're like, oh my god, your mouth's open, and
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Head first, so it knows where it's going. I want that little dude. It's like, look, it's been in the mail for a long time. Like, I wanted to know where it's going for once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that an empathetic enough response? Do I look nice?
That
was actually one of the most in-depth responses to this question we've gotten. So love that.
I keep a whiteboard on the side. I won't turn my camera to show the whiteboard. That's definitely on the side, but that's going up there at like number 2 or 3. So
what's number 1?
Yeah, that was one of the best.
Number 1's anytime you get the vegan answer.
What is the what?
I'm vegan. I can't have a rat in my mouth. Rude.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what would be the most like empathetic time. There's somebody that's given like a really joyous answer.
Sometimes, people come up with all kinds of stuff. I remember Amps for Christ, dude. Do you know Amps for Christ, by the way? Yeah, Henry Barnes one time, he was just like, "Oh, I'd take it butt first and slurp the tail down like spaghetti," and I was like, "Hell yeah!" That's sick.
I just like saw my face on Zoom for a second, just like totally repulsed. But like that's also so like manly and cool to me. Like I wish I was tough like that.
Same.
I'm too much of a youth pastor or something. I want the little guy to see where he's going, you know?
Yeah, right.
So much less cool than like, I'm gonna eat it. Like, watch me. Like it's cool. I don't know.
I mean, for a dude with a project called Bastard Noise, that's just like very scary noise. Like, makes sense to me, I guess. You know what I mean?
And I make these like twee little gentle songs. Apparently, I mean, I get the twee thing all the time, which is weird. But
oh, really?
It's because I talk about drinking tea or something. I don't know. I don't feel very twee. I wear a chain. I live in New York City. God dang it.
Yeah, that's not twee.
I know what amps for Christ is.
Yeah, true.
And 3-6 Mafia.
Yeah, 666 smoked out. Like now I'm going really high, like in the Chevy. Do you remember in White Bread, Black Beer, the Skritty record, when he just names all the like Run DMCs?
Yes.
I just was reminded of that because I did that a little bit.
I love that.
It's a perfect record. It's so beautiful and heartfelt.
What's it called again? I don't think I've ever listened to it. It's called White
Bread, Black Beer. Please tell me what you think of it. It's a fascinating document.
Oh, Thomas, you gotta listen to all the Skritty Putty. It's so, even the early stuff that's kind of mid, but gets better as it goes on. But as soon as you keep it in sight, you're in an adventure.
I'm like a major Provisions person. Also, I think like that
Provisions, great $1 banger.
It should be $1 million. Also, like, Ambitious Lovers is like the best band. Like, and they sound like Skritty, but like doing it on. They're like Skritty, but like they had to do it discount or something. Like they're more.
I'm on the way. I'm looking that up.
Yeah, no, they're. You know, the video for "Copy Me" on Night Music changed my life. Highly recommend.
This is gonna be so funny. Yes, this looks perfect.
It's so cool. Arto saying like you want to try it for yourself, like about his tuning. It's like so hot.
Like, they did an album for EG in '84. Yeah, this looks good. Yeah,
music is cool.
Music is so cool. God.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, anyways, that's all we have for today. Thanks for tuning into TBD, KCSB FM 91.9 every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. and NetNet Radio every Wednesday, 7 p.m. This has been Wendy Eisenberg. Thanks, Wendy.
Thanks for having me.